Did you know that the first women's rights convention in the Western world took place in Seneca Falls, New York? Since the beginning of the women's rights movement, New York has stood at the forefront of the nation's fight for women's equality. Now, in 2013, New York is at it again. In his State of the State address in January, Governor Cuomo proposed a 10-point women's equality agenda, which would put New York on the cutting edge in the fight for women's rights once again. The agenda hopes to achieve equal pay for equal work, stop sexual harassment in the workplace, protect victims of domestic violence, stop pregnancy discrimination, strengthen anti-human trafficking laws, stop housing discrimination against those who need low-income housing assistance, end workplace discrimination against women with children, allow for attorneys' fees in successful employment lending and credit discrimination cases, stop housing discrimination against victims of domestic violence, and protect a woman's reproductive health by allowing her to make her own healthcare decisions. In this episode of Project Liberty, we'll explore 3 of the 10 points in Governor Cuomo's women's equality agenda: reproductive health and choice, pregnancy discrimination, and pay equity. We'll also hear from 2 New Yorkers on why they support the women's equality agenda, Frank and Adisa. For more information about all 10 points, visit www.nyclu.org/WE. While there, be sure to sign the petition in support of the agenda. After all, New York's place as the leader of this country's ongoing battle for the rights of women depends on the people living in this great state, New Yorkers like you. Thank you for all the work that you do. Enjoy the episode.
My name is Catherine Bodie. I am a policy counsel with the Reproductive Rights Program at the New York Civil Liberties Union, and we work to protect and expand access to reproductive health care for often the most marginalized communities in New York, including minors, women of color, and immigrant women.
I'm Stephen Chasen. I am, among my titles, as Director of High-Risk Obstetrics at the Weill Cornell Medical Center, which is the teaching hospital for Cornell University Medical College. I practice maternal fetal medicine, which focuses on pregnant women that have high-risk pregnancies. Some of them are high risk because they have illnesses that preceded their pregnancy and need treatment. Some of them are high risk because there are issues specific to the pregnancy. Some women are high risk because we've identified health issues in the fetus.
The ability to get pregnant and carry to term a healthy child is a miracle. It's a gift. And I think I never realized how hard it is to do all of those things.
The reproductive health piece of the women's equality agenda is really critical. Before 1970, New York criminalized abortion. It was illegal. And in 1970, New York liberalized its abortion law to allow for justifiable abortions. These are abortions that take place 24 weeks after the commencement of pregnancy and after that point when a woman's life is at risk. But we don't have protections for a woman's health. And this, coupled with the fact that abortion is regulated in our criminal law, means that doctors are often deterred from providing the best care possible.
There are situations that come up not uncommonly in a high-risk population where we need the flexibility to be able to perform abortion not only in life-threatening situations, but in situations that are important for the health and well-being of our pregnant women. A few years ago, I had a patient who was in her 7th month of pregnancy. She had had a sonogram. There was something in the baby's brain. This baby had a massive stroke, a big hemorrhage in the brain. If the baby survived, result in severe neurologic abnormalities. She was past the point of viability. Abortion was not an option in New York State. She had to travel out of state. She went to Kansas to have an abortion because we couldn't take care of her in New York. Another example, a patient, and we saw that her baby was in very poor health, was in an advanced state of heart failure. We did some further tests and we identified a lethal blood condition. By the time we got all the information, she was 27 or 28 weeks. She was told that abortion was not an option. We could not bring her into labor and delivery and give her medication to deliver the baby because it wasn't an emergency. She would just have to wait to go into labor. A couple weeks later, she got very, very sick. Her blood pressure was very, very high to the point where we were worried she would have a stroke. It's something that can happen with deteriorating fetal health. Mom can get very sick. At this point, she was brought in. Her pregnancy was ended because it was life-threatening. She hemorrhaged during the delivery, required a lot of units of blood, and she could have lost her uterus and her ability to have healthy kids in the future. If at a point before she was in a life-threatening condition, we could have brought her in and induced her labor and delivered her, and the baby wouldn't have survived. But her health wouldn't have been threatened. If we could have done that, then this life-threatening condition could have been prevented. The provisions in the Women's Equality Agenda would help us to do that and to take care of our patients without worrying about being prosecuted by the state.
The reproductive health piece of the Women's Equality Agenda would align New York law with current federal law and current medical practice in New York State. This means that it would remove the regulation of abortion from the criminal code, put it in the public health law where it belongs, and also include a critical amendment that would allow for care when a woman's health is at risk.
My husband and I, we were getting married in the summer of 2007. We were really excited about the idea of having a baby together, and we actually got pregnant before our wedding. Everybody knew I had to take back my wedding dress and get something else. But the idea that we were going to be having a baby together was so exciting that didn't really matter. About a week or two after, it must have been about 2 weeks after the wedding, we went for our anatomy scan. The doctor came in after the scan and told us that there was a pretty severe fetal anomaly and that the baby's brain wasn't developed. It was the kind of thing that you wouldn't be able to see until 18 to 20 weeks because it wouldn't have gotten picked up in any testing, and that the baby wasn't going to live. And we were completely devastated. The most painful thing, just to hear that the baby wasn't going to be able to live was horrible. To have to make the decision to then end this pregnancy that we'd been looking forward to and planning for so long, you just really don't think you can survive that loss.
Kate's story is really a perfect illustration of why we need to change the law in New York State. If the fatal fetal anomaly that she experienced had been diagnosed just a few weeks later, or if a doctor had missed it, or if she didn't get care based on a whole host of barriers that people face when trying to access healthcare, she wouldn't have been able to get the care that she needed in New York State. And this is wrong. People should be able to get the care that they need right here in their home state.
It just struck me how lucky I was. Lucky is a hard thing to say in the middle of what was happening, but that here I was in my hometown with my husband and my mother right outside and my midwife here supporting me. And I felt very safe and very well taken care of. And I was able to heal, and now I have a little boy who was born exactly 1 year later than the due date of that baby girl. And I feel very grateful to be able to have him and my older son and to have been able to go on and create a healthy family. When I finally gave birth and he came out, the first thing the first question, which had been like nagging me for 9 months, was, is he alive? That was the first thing I said. When he was born, I said, is he alive? I was so worried. And the first couple of hours, I just kept looking at him like, what a miracle. What a miracle. I'm not glad that I had to have that procedure. It was uncomfortable and disorienting and heartbreaking. But but it's really important to me to know that if I ever needed to, or if a woman, any woman, needed to have it, that it's available to her, and it's available without the difficulties of getting access to it.
My name is Frank Antonio Lopez. I'm 28 years old, and I was born and raised in Washington Heights, New York City. I'm one of 6 children, Dominican household here in Washington Heights. I have 5 sisters, I'm the only boy, and I have 8 beautiful nieces and nephews. So I think in essence, being an uncle and being a brother is a huge part of who I am, because that taught me how to be in the world. I'm an educator, I'm a poet, a filmmaker as well. So I have art deeply embedded in what I do and what I love. So I'm part of an artist education group called the Peace Poets. We're performers, we do hip hop, we do spoken word poetry. And what we do is go into different high schools, community centers, grade schools here in New York City, but at this point all around the world. We've been to over 35 different countries using poetry and self-expression as a means for conflict resolution, youth empowerment, and cultural and identity development. Dedicated to my niece and nephews for when your daddy's left you. Taught me to be a man, to have a man to stand up next to and protect you. When you ask me where your daddy is, I'll gladly give you an answer that'll clarify what a daddy is. My nieces to me mean legacy. They mean love and light that I see in my sisters. They mean to me a new generation of, most definitely, of hope, of peace, of friendship. The way that they treat each other is incredible. And the way that they learn through that as well, just being young people. They mean to me purpose as well. They mean to me a reason to be a better uncle, a better brother, but essentially a better man in this world, a better human being. And they fill me with that purpose every day. And they mean a lot of fun to me as well. Who's gonna be around to teach him the right path? Who's gonna be around to teach him how to rap? Who's gonna be the one to show him how it's done in the face of darkness, turn around and face the sun? I hope for my nieces to be able to live in a world that loves them the way that they deserve to be loved. A world that is just and fair to them as young women, that provides them the same benefits that any other human being deserves, and an opportunity to be whatever they want to be. I know they're just little balls of love and light, and I also know that they live in a world that is going to challenge that constantly.
Getting ready, we pretty much had to create a nursery. We had to just, I guess, declutter everything because we knew we'd be accumulating a lot more stuff, baby stuff. Baby would be taking over, so we had to get rid of some of our toys to make room for all hers. I work I'm based out of Farmingville, and I've been with the company 10 years. I told them pretty much right away when I found out, due to the nature of my job. I thought they would take precaution, but obviously not. When I had first told them, I had expressed to them that I think I could probably deliver light packages, like air packages and stuff like that until I'm at least 7 months, which, I was running and going to the gym and doing things, up until that point pretty much. And they weren't going to have it. And that was the first eye-opener that, I was like, all right, well, what do I do now?
We all too often see pregnant women, especially low-wage women and women in physically demanding jobs, who are forced out onto unpaid leave, or even worse, flat out fired from their jobs when they request a modest accommodation to stay healthy and continue working and supporting their families. Frequently the accommodations are really minor, but the modest accommodations that women need are those that employers shockingly continue to refuse to provide them. We've seen women who have been denied extra bathroom breaks, a retail worker who was not allowed to carry a water bottle on the job. So these are really common sense accommodations that the public actually can't understand, in my opinion, why this and how this could happen, but yet it still happens.
All they did every month was call me and tell me, oh, we don't have a job available for you. We don't have a job available for you. So within, 7-8 month period, I'm like, how is there no job available throughout my entire local? They pretty much just delayed me until the point where I couldn't even work. Almost like being pregnant is taboo.
So the women's equality agenda would provide explicit protection in our human rights law to ensure that employers provide reasonable accommodations for pregnancy-related conditions unless the requested accommodation imposes an undue hardship on the employer.
It's not like that accommodation I was looking for was to happen after giving birth. It was just temporary.
And what this would really do is just make it unmistakably clear that pregnant women are entitled to the same legal protections as other workers who are temporary, disabled, or similarly limited in their ability to do certain aspects of their job.
You're used to getting a paycheck every week, and then all of a sudden that just goes away, and it's like, okay, now you have you lost your income. You got your last paycheck, but that was it, how long can one paycheck last? I don't think anyone should have to go through what I went through. It's just not right.
My name is Adiza Tusebu, Adiza for short, and my family's originally from Africa, West Africa, Guinea. If I were to describe myself in 5 words, it'd be lover, loyal, dramatic, different, and ambitious. I'm trying to work hard and work towards the dreams, little by little, I want to just be successful, I want my kids, my grandkids, my mom, I want us to be at a point where we could just sit back and relax. Well, I think in life, when you're trying to reach a goal, there's always certain things that's going to stand in your way. I feel like all those obstacles, they're nothing. You can overcome them. My mom has helped me overcome my obstacles. She told me a saying, and it's in Malinke, which is from Guinea. It is Fembe Boli Dusu Kanero, which means that everything comes from your heart. When it's released from here, it makes everything so much better. Me and my mom came originally just to visit, but my mom wanted to stay because she said she wanted to give me a better future. She says that it's more opportunity here than in Guinea. I'm here for a reason, and I feel like I will never take the opportunities that I've been given and waste it. As a Black female, there are a lot of things and obstacles that stand in your way, but nothing's gonna stand in my way. When I look at my future, it's definitely bright.
Pay equity is basically the concept that you should be paid equally to someone of the other sex or the opposite gender, that there shouldn't be discrimination based on sex in pay. The pay gap for women as a whole across the United States is that women on average working full-time earn only 77 cents for each dollar earned by a male counterpart. The numbers are actually even worse for mothers. Married mothers earn about 69 cents for every dollar earned by a man, and single mothers, it's 58 cents. If the wage gap were closed and women were earning equal amounts to men, that they and their families would have enough money to afford more than a year's worth of food, 4.4 months of mortgage and utility payments, 9 additional months of rent payments, 3 extra years of family health insurance premiums, or more than 2,000 gallons of gas. And you're talking about a major wage gap that compounds over time and means thousands upon thousands of dollars in a lifetime. And if women were actually earning what they ought to be, and women control something like 74% of domestic purchasing decisions, that's a lot of money that's going back into the economy in terms of consumer purchases and other things. And I think that that helps businesses in addition to the broader economic advantages of closing the wage gap.
The women's equality agenda brings together many of the issues that impact the quality of life and the opportunities that women and their families experience. A woman is a whole person. She may have children, she may work, she may need credit from a bank, she rents apartments, and the Women's Equality Agenda protects women's equality wherever she is, on the job, at the bank, at home, and in the doctor's office. When we achieve the Women's Equality Agenda, I think we will have restored New York's place and respected the views, the overwhelming sentiments of New Yorkers that we respect women, we believe in their equality, we believe in their dignity, and our laws must reflect those values.
If you take what they're given, if you buy what they sell, if you hold all your pennies for the wishing well, you'll be grossly disappointed when your eyes can see. You won't love the property when you're loving on me. Did your mama ever warn you about that criticity lie? Was she praying to her Jesus that you